Welcome back. All right, I want to look at the upcoming unrestricted and restricted free agent market. And I just wanted to cover some of the more major names. So we've got the ones ranked here by who's scored the most points. I figure that's a good way to rank who's going to maybe make the most money. A couple goalies down here. Notables on this side as well, leaning towards RFAs here, and then some notable UFAs as well. And I'm wearing Carolina because I get the feeling Don Waddell's going to be very busy between now and July the 1st. So this class is highlighted by Sam Reinhart, and Reinhart is a really tricky one to sign, I think, because he's 28 years of age and he's having a career year. So there's a bit of a red flag there, right? Players in a career year and a contract year, 28 years of age. Will Reinhart score 48 next year? We don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he's going to perennially be a 50 goal scorer for the next 3 to 4 years. Maybe he's having a career year, right? So he has 48 goals. 31 assists for 79 points in 68 games. He's been fantastic. You need a power play goal, Reinhart. You need a shorthanded goal, Reinhart. You need a game-winning goal, Reinhart. So his current cap hit $6.5 million. He's going to be looking for a raise on that. Now, playing in Florida helps, right? So playing in Florida helps in terms of the team being able to re-sign him because we know that players will take team-friendly cap hits. Now, people talk about the fact that, there's less taxes, so it's easier to sign players. However, you also have to factor in Florida's very successful. It looks like they're in their Stanley Cup winning window. And so I think Reinhart stays. I'd be very surprised if he goes anywhere else, but I'll be interested to see the cap hit because I do think this year everything's fallen into place for him. And I don't know if he can replicate this next season, and it's going to come down to whether or not Bill Zito thinks he's going to, do the same next year, or if he's going to look at just his career average and look at that as a starting point with contract talks. It's a different conversation that way, right? And then you've got Steven Stamkos. There's been discussions of this during the season. He's 34 years of age, 65 games this year, 27 goals, 35 assists, 62 points. He is arguably the best Tampa Bay Lightning player overall that they've had throughout his career, I think, anyways. Kucherov's right in that conversation too, but over their entire careers, I would still say Stamkos mildly, just a little bit. But his $8.5 million cap hit was seen as a deal when he signed it. Like when he signed that extension with Tampa Bay, that was seen as less than he would have got from Toronto or any other number of suitors. And again, he's an unrestricted free agent this summer. Does he stay in Tampa? I think it's obviously not going to be an 8-year deal. We'd be looking at probably a 2 or a 3-year deal. Maybe we see Stamkos starting to do what Pavelski's done for Dallas. Sign team-friendly deals to stick around, maybe 1 year, maybe 2. And just, if Stamkos decides he wants to retire as a member of the Lightning, he will. I think the team will take care of him. I'd be very surprised if he gets moved, even though he's been vocal about, wanting this done. It hasn't been done as of yet. I still think they're going to sit down and make it work. Back in 2016, there was plenty of discussions once we got to, June that, he's going to go. And then he just re-signed and stayed there. Jake Guentzel should be fascinating, and this is where Carolina jumps in, right? 55 games, 24 goals, 36 assists, 60 points. He's 29 years of age. So that's where you get into that danger, right? You're going to pay a guy in his 30s the big money. Generally, if you do that, it can be good, but it can also come back to bite you. $6 million cap hit for Guentzel this season. He is an unrestricted free agent, obviously, this summer. I would be kind of surprised if Guentzel stays in Carolina just because they have so many different contracts on expiration. But if Guentzel has a really strong run the rest of the way, if he has a really good playoff, if Carolina does win the Stanley Cup, and if Guentzel's a big part of that, could change the whole conversation. Right now, I think he's probably just a rental. And then you've got Marchessault. Marchessault is having a career year as well at age 33. So the odds of him having this same year next year, slim, right? In 68 games, 38 goals, 21 assists, 59 points. He's been fantastic. I don't think you can argue anybody is the best overall forward for this team throughout the season. I think Eichel's the most talented, but in terms of the best season, it's got to be Marchessault. His $5 million cap hit, very team-friendly. He's a UFA this summer. If he wants to stay, Vegas finds a way to make it happen. But I don't know you can justify having him at $5 million again because he's got 38 goals. So again, maybe we see him, as I mentioned with Stamkos, right? You take that shorter-term deal, you take a team-friendly deal, you get a raise on that $5 million in all likelihood, and you stick around. I think it's in his best interests as well as Vegas's that he stays there. I don't know that he would score 38 goals anywhere else. It just works in Vegas, right? And then you got Raymond. So the first restricted free agent on the board is Lucas Raymond, who in Detroit is having a bounce-back year. 69 games, 24 goals, 35 assists, 59 points. His cap hit, entry-level contract, $925,000. So he's a restricted free agent. I would expect 8 years, but the cap hit will be fascinating with Raymond. Are they going to pay him big money, expecting big things from him? Are they going to look at where he is right now and say, well, maybe we won't pay him that big money. Maybe he gets a bridge deal. We'll see what happens there, right? I would think 8 years, probably a lot of money. I'm thinking a huge cap hit for Raymond because I do think Yzerman believes he's a huge part of the future, but I'll be interested to see how negotiations go there. Matt Duchene took a very Dallas-friendly contract with them, $3 million. It's a show-me contract. He got bought out from Nashville. He was kind of ticked about it. In 67 games in Dallas, 23 goals, 35 assists, 58 points. He's 33 years of age. I think he gets another contract. I think it'll be more than $3 million a year because, 58 points in 67 games dictates he's not done. I don't know if it's going to be in Dallas. Like if he wants a significant pay increase, I don't know if Dallas would necessarily do that. They have other contracts to worry about here, and this one could end up being really expensive. But yeah, Duchene's had a good year. He's going to get a raise this summer. Just not sure it'll be in Dallas. Pavelski's going to be in Dallas as long as he wants to be. He's 39 years of age, 69 games, 24 goals, 34 assists, 58 points. His cap hit $3.5 million. So people get mad about teams being above the cap. People used to get mad about players signing for really cheap contracts with the team. What Pavelski does is definitely worth at least $5 million a season, but I haven't heard anybody complain about Pavelski's low cap hit. It's just things have changed. It used to be people would be mad like, that's cap circumvention. That guy took way less money than he should have. It's not really cap circumvention, though. That was the argument back remember way back when Kevin Labanc signed a team-friendly deal with San Jose worth $1 million a year and everybody freaked out? Anyways, because you've got to get mad about other teams and what money they're spending or saving. And in Pavelski's case, I would expect him to sign for another year, probably around the same cap hit, maybe a slight increase. He can still go. He can still play. He'll play into his 40s, is my guess. Then you got Seth Jarvis. So Carolina's on the board again. Carolina's on the board. Really, there's 6 different Carolina players on the board. Jarvis, of course, is a restricted free agent. His cap hit this year, $894,167. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it more than doubles. I know, isn't that crazy? 69 games, 25 goals, 30 assists, 55 points. And Jarvis has been excellent lately for Carolina. I think that he could at least get what Necas is getting, and I think you can make the argument he should get more than Necas' current cap hit, since Necas' cap hit's going to go up this summer as well. So for Carolina, they've had all this success. Now you got to pay for it. Now you got to pay for these players that have helped drive your success, and Jarvis is a big part of that right now. Colorado, they have Casey Mittelstadt now from Buffalo. 67 games, 16 goals, 35 assists, 51 points. Mittelstadt is a very good second-line center. He is giving them, I think, what they had envisioned Ryan Johansson would give them, and then it just didn't work with Johansson. Mittelstadt's 25 years of age. So in all likelihood, this kind of point production, yeah, he can keep that up. I would say that on Colorado, the potential is it could go higher than it was in Buffalo, right? The $2.5 million cap hit, he's a restricted free agent. I would say, double that? Maybe $5 million a year? But do you go with a bridge deal with Mittelstadt? Does he want a bridge deal and say, you know what, when I'm 27, I can get more? Or does he want 8 years now to get him to his mid-30s? So I'll be very interested to see how much he gets and for how long. Now, there's 2 notable goaltenders. They're both restricted free agents, but they both need a big raise. Well, one needs a big raise and the other one is going to get a raise. I don't know how much. Luukkonen has been a steal for the Buffalo Sabres this year. He makes $837,500. He's 25 years of age. And again, shows that with goaltenders, wait until they're in their mid-20s and you get a good idea of where they're at in their careers. Do not judge a goaltender below the age of 25 on how well they're playing or not playing because it may bite you later. Luukkonen's 23-17-5, .915 save percentage. He's the reason that Buffalo is still relevant, that they're still in the hunt for a playoff spot. Again, he's a restricted free agent this summer. I think he could sit down and make a pretty good argument for getting at least I would think 6-year extension. I'm going to say maybe $4 million a year. I think maybe $5 million. If he keeps playing like this, he could demand a lot. If he ends up in the 27, 28 win range, and he absolutely could by the time the season's done, it's hard to argue that he shouldn't get a pretty long-term, excellent extension for a team that hasn't made the playoffs in a very long time. Between Luukkonen and Levi, they may be there next year. I know I'm going to get struck by lightning someday when I talk about Buffalo in the playoffs. Even God's tired of hearing about it. So Swayman, 22-7-3 overall, 917 save percentage for Swayman. He's 25 as well, restricted free agent, $3.475 million cap hit. That's going to go up. Boston right now, I think they would be smart to give Swayman a long-term extension. I think he's shown that he's ready to be the starter. This summer, if they decide that, all right, now we're going to move Ullmark, I would not be entirely surprised. I feel like next season, Swayman gets the net, and then you figure out who's going to be the backup, but Swayman should get about 55 starts next year, I would think. I just didn't like the idea of Ullmark going this year since they've had a really good tandem going. They've got really good rhythm going. If you're going to make a change in net, do that in the offseason, not midstream, right at the trade deadline. So Swayman's going to get paid. Those are the two goalies that to me stand out. The third in terms of save percentage, wins and all that, Talbot's right there, but Talbot's 36. So if he gets an extension with LA, it's likely a one-year deal. Maybe he ends up moving on from LA at the end of the season. We shall see. Now we get over into this column here, and again, these are just players of a lot of interest for me. First off, you got Byfield. I'm not getting into the points necessarily, but he's produced well. He's 21 years of age. He's a restricted free agent. That's right. For as long as we've talked about Quentin Byfield, he's 21. His cap hit this year is $894,167. I don't see any way he doesn't get an 8-year deal. I don't see any way he doesn't get an 8-year deal. The Kings are going to want to lock him in for that maximum contract, and I think he's going to get paid. I think he's shown enough flashes of brilliance this year and enough consistency to warrant a major raise, because he should only get better from here. Marty Necas, 25 years of age, restricted free agent. It depends on the week with Necas. Sometimes he looks great, sometimes not as much. And with Carolina, you got a lot of depth, right? You could decide we're going to keep Guentzel, we're going to trade Necas. I'm not saying they're going to, I'm saying they could. Necas' cap hit $3 million. It's got to at least double, right? So Necas is going to get a big contract. It could end up being an 8-year contract. So I guess the question I would ask Carolina fans is, how much should Necas be worth and for how long? But yeah, 25 years of age, that's where you normally see that long-term extension coming in. And then there's Hronek. So one of the reasons I've thrown this board together is because there's been a lot of discussion over certain restricted or unrestricted free agents, and Hronek's name's been out there. So his cap hit this year is $4.4 million. He's 26 years of age, and again, a restricted free agent. Now, John Shannon let slip today on Sakaris and Price that the Canucks made not really an offer, but kind of sort of with Hronek, and it was rejected immediately. The speculation is he may be looking for in the region of $8 million a year. Hronek had a fantastic start with Vancouver. It has been a lot tougher for him, I would say, over the last 15 games. Now, he's not the only Canuck who's struggled recently, but considering how much money he wants and the fact he's going to want a long-term deal, he's earned an 8-year extension, I think. I will be interested to see if Hronek stays in Vancouver or if he ends up somewhere else. If they feel that his demands are unreasonable, don't be surprised if his name gets out there. If they can sit down and negotiate this with him and make it work, I think they will. They showed with Pettersson. The thing is, you've also got to make sure there's enough money for everybody else. And so a team in Vancouver that's always at or around the cap, I'll be interested to see what happens with Hronek and how much money he gets. I do think people maybe overrated him a bit early in the season. I think there's a lot of criticism towards him now. Some of it's warranted. I think some of it's a little nitpicky. But yeah, Hronek's going to be one to watch, as is Harley in Dallas. So we've got Dallas on the board 3 times. There's a lot of work to be done by Jim Nill. Harley's 22. He's a restricted free agent. His cap hit $863,333. Harley has shown he's ready to run an NHL power play. He has shown that he is good enough to be a top 2 guy for a contending team in Dallas. And I think with Heiskanen and Harley, this is a 2 defensemen that you can really make sure are the anchors of that blue line. It will be interesting to see if Harley gets an 8-year extension with Dallas and what that ends up looking like for him. Moritz Seider, another defenseman, Detroit, right? How do you feel about Seider if you're a Wings fan? Now, he's 23 years of age, restricted free agent, $863,333 cap hit. Obviously, Seider would want an 8-year extension. Detroit would want to keep him on an 8-year extension. Do you pay him based on what he's going to do or what he's done? Generally speaking, with the younger players, the restricted free agents, managers now pay on what they think the player will do. I would expect Seider's going to get a pretty large amount of money. Like, I would expect Seider to be one of the higher numbers on this board, because I think he has that level of potential with Detroit. And I do think that Yzerman's going to roll the dice. Raymond and Seider are, I think these are the first two for Yzerman's draftees where he's able to really, sign them to long-term extensions. We start to get an idea for how he's going to run teams, like from a financial standpoint. It'll be interesting to see how much Seider and Raymond end up getting as restricted free agents, and for how long. I'm thinking 8 years for both, but how much, right? So, again, there are people who don't like paying for potential, but that is generally how things work in the National Hockey League. So we get back to some UFAs here. Starting with Toffoli with the Jets. It felt like I got to talk about Toffoli because in 66 games he has 30 goals, 20 assists, 50 points. He's a 30-goal scorer. He can do that. I think he could have 30 goals every year. He's just got to stay healthy. Toffoli's going to be an interesting one because I think if he does hit the market, a lot of teams are going to be calling him, because he is a 32-year-old that can score. You've got to think that most teams are going to say, all right, 1 or 2 year deal. His cap hit at $4.25 million. If he wants something in that range this summer, he won't have a problem. I wouldn't be surprised if it's $5 million or more, considering the salary cap's going to be going up. So every time the cap goes up, GMs are just going to spend right to it right again. But yeah, Toffoli's going to be interesting. I don't have Monahan on the board, but Monahan's a UFA this summer as well. I feel like Monahan and Toffoli are both probably just rentals for the Winnipeg Jets, but we've seen surprises before with players deciding to stay somewhere. And I do feel like Toffoli has to be wanting to stay in a place where he feels like he has a chance to win. So if it goes really well in Winnipeg, and if he likes it there, he might even give them a team-friendly deal and stick around there. I always felt bad that Vancouver didn't really work that hard to try to keep Toffoli. I mean, I kind of understand, but good player. And it's a shame he didn't end up back in Vancouver. But anyways, we're going to go back to Carolina. There are 3 other pending unrestricted free agents I wanted to talk about, and there's a reason for each. First off, Shea, 69 games, 10 goals, 29 assists, 39 points. He's 30 years of age, his cap hit $5.25 million. With the way he's played this year, if he wants to argue, I think I'm in the $6 million range, I don't know if you can make an argument that he's not, but I think if you're Don Waddell, you have to start to look at how many guys are asking for how much money and which ones make financial sense and which ones don't for your payroll. So there are times that teams get called cheap because they won't keep certain players. Oh, you got rid of these guys, but they have to figure out how much money each guy gets and what's going to financially work. So maybe you're looking and saying, you know what, we think Shea's worth $6 million a year. However, if we pay him this, we're going to lose that guy. And so those are the decisions general managers have to make, which are not easy. Because if you're in a situation where you're like, all right, I can't keep this player because I don't know I can afford him, I'm going to, try to trade him. Other teams may look at your money too and go, you can't afford to keep him, can you? We may not make as high an offer this time around. So we'll see how all that works out. They also have Teuvo Teravainen. I think it's important to keep Teravainen in 66 games, 21 goals, 26 assists, 47 points. He's 29 years of age. His cap hit $5.4 million. I'd be very surprised if they move on from Teravainen. I'd be surprised if he left as well, because he is a big part of that team. A lot of Finnish players in Carolina, and I think it's important to keep them together. I think keeping Teuvo so that, Aho's happy and everything works, I think that's important. Carolina, of course, how the playoffs go could decide which direction they go with a lot of these players. If they end up out in the first round and if they can't score and everything's a disaster, then maybe Don Waddell makes big changes. Maybe some of these guys go to market. And again, if they end up going to a Stanley Cup and winning it or going all the way to the final, it might cause them to keep guys they otherwise might not. Brett Pesce, 59 games, 3 goals, 9 assists, 12 points. He's 29 years of age. His cap hit, $4,025,000. And it's interesting that Pesce is still in in Carolina. Maybe he's going to Calgary. They could definitely use a defenseman with all the guys they lost at the deadline. Hanifin, Tanev, and then, of course, Zadorov way before the deadline to Vancouver. Pesce could be a good pickup for Calgary. There you go. I just started a rumor. Anyways, just because I misspoke. But yeah, Pesce, there were rumors during the summer that he wanted out and he wanted a trade, and it didn't happen. It still hasn't happened. and now it looks like he's probably going to market. Again, with all of the other costs Carolina has on their books and coming up that are due for renewal, Pesce may end up being the odd man out. But it will be interesting to see what he gets this summer, because he is generally a really good defensive defenseman. How much are those worth? The Rangers have a really good defensive defenseman named Ryan Lindgren, who has a contract expiry this summer as well. And I'll be curious to see what he gets, because defensive defensemen, I think, are underpaid in the NHL because they're not flashy and they don't provide goals. But I'm telling you, that guy that prevents the goals against, that guy that does the really good defensive work to make sure the guy's on the outside going to the net rather than coming right down the middle, they're important. They just don't seem to get paid like they're as important as the guys that score all the goals and the points. They're not flashy, but I do think that they do a lot, and I think they're somewhat underappreciated, which is why I like to highlight some of the players I do on the channel. All right, there you go. Let me know your thoughts. How much do these guys get? For how long? For how much? And which of these players do you think career year, don't sign them long term? And which one do you think they're ready to break through, sign them long term now before their stats go through the roof? Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.